Ladies and gentlemen, we've arrived at our destination. For your safety and comfort, please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the captain turns off this live stream. On behalf of Xbox International, I'd like to thank you for joining us on this trip, and we're looking forward to seeing you aboard next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Welcome to Xbox International Podcast for this week, episode 75. And Sourblow, let me tell you, we got quite a show ahead of us today. Wait, I'm not crazy, Lou. What the heck's happening? What's going on?
You forgot the what episode we in? You never remembers.
Whoops. My bad. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining us this evening. Obviously, we are sans one crazy Louie this evening. Hopefully, our brother gets feeling a little better. He's a little under the weather right now, so hopefully he gets some time to kind of rest and heal. So it's going to be just us for a little bit. I think we've got Plume diving in when he gets an opportunity, and yeah, we're just going to roll with it this evening. We're gonna have some fun, guys. We're gonna have some fun. But real quick, while we have a second, and while it's sour, I'm going to go ahead and introduce my brother here, the master of letting his son play Halo Infinite to get all of his KD ranking up, the master of Forza Horizon, turning and drifting like a champ, like we're watching a Fast and the Furious movie. Ladies and gentlemen, Sourblow. How are you, sir? How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine, but you forgot one more master.
One more master?
Yeah, the master of cowboy.
Oh, cowboy video editing. Yes.
Oh no, cowboy. Anyway, forget about that.
Are you referring to Red Dead?
Okay. Cowboy's not important.
Oh, you better not.
We got a little rivalry, him and me. But hey, I'm doing fine. Excited to be here with you. Hopefully, Crazy could join us next week. I see his emojis there in the chat. But super excited to be here. Oh, by the way, before I forget, because I always forget, we do have channel memberships. We have 3 tiers. We have economy tiers, we got business, and we got, of course, first class. And with every tier, you get access to the emojis, you get the badges, which you're starting to see in the chat. So if you like to support us, you can support us with any tiers. We would truly appreciate it. There are other benefits. Channel members, you should check your email because you probably got your flight tickets today. But anyway, how about you, Styler? How have you been doing?
I've been good. I was a little bit nervous. I was going down the crazy train myself this week. I was feeling a little under the weather at the beginning of the week, but I think everything's mellowed out. I think a little bit of a head cold kind of came out of nowhere, and I started feeling achy like an old man, which usually tells me we have a big storm coming through. And sure enough, as I speak, we've got quite a storm that's crossing by us right now. So hopefully it doesn't interrupt anything, but I think we should be okay. But yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm excited to be here this week. It means we're halfway through the work week, which is always a good time. But yeah, so what have you been playing this last week? Because I don't think we've actually really talked too much since, to be honest.
Yeah, this week I've been super busy. I had a lot of issues in the house. I still have a lot of issues, but for example, I finally got rid of a tree that fell in my backyard. So haven't been playing much, but I did was able to play a little bit of Fist. And I'm almost done because I'm heading to the final boss. So I'm excited to get rid of one of the 3 to 4 games I'm playing because I'm getting ready for Starfield.
That's it. Yeah, I started seeing all the tweets over the last couple of days from everyone, and I was like, oh my god, we're like right there. Like I'm getting a little anxious, honestly, because I've got a bunch on my backlog I'm trying to burn through as well, and I'm like, I there is no world in which I'm going to have enough time to get caught up before we jump into Starfield. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
I was gonna ask.
yeah.
Well, before asking you, chat, let us know what you've been playing. I see some of the chat already mentioning Nocturnal. Um, it's kind of like a Prince of Persia game.
Mm.
Um, thought I saw something else, but let us know what you've been playing. And no, no Code Veronica and
No
Silent.
Code Veronica. No one's playing Code
No,
Veronica.
no one wants to
Dark.
play it.
Nobody's playing that game. Quit lying. Quit
Well,
lying.
what
And
about
like,
you, Silent? What have you been
um,
playing?
yeah. So I've been playing more Dead Island 2 over the last few days. I've been having a lot of fun playing around with that. It's been, dude, it's been really good. Like I jumped into that game when it first came out. I tried it for a little bit. I got distracted by something. I forget what game, but something distracted me. I went off and ignored it, and I'm back to it now. And God, that game is just it's a blast. Actually, I've been playing a bunch of co-op with my brother, Covert Reaper, also, and that's been a lot of fun too. I think the only negative part about that was at one point he started doing some computer work while we were playing. So like we'd jump into a mission and all of a sudden I'd be like, man, this game's getting really difficult. And I'd look back and his tag was like way back here in the corner. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, oh, sorry, I had to start a format on a computer laptop and blah blah blah. I'm like, dude, get in this game. Get back over here. He was killing me. I'm glad to hear that you're getting fisted again. Everyone's getting their fist on recently. Uh,
Yeah,
pause. But yeah, I haven't tried that one yet. I'm looking forward to playing that game at some point. I look forward to being in that fisting party as well. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Um, Seems like a good time. Uh, but that's really about all I've played over the last week.
yeah.
Haven't had a lot of time, unfortunately. I
I,
wish I had more.
I like how the chat is been playing like all sorts of games, like
Dude, they're all over the place. I'm seeing a bunch of different
Diablo,
stuff pop
Gear
up.
5, Final Fantasy 16, Remnant 2.
Remnant 2, yeah. I keep hearing sour. I keep hearing all over Twitter recently, all over the Twitter streets that us Xbox guys, we don't play any games though.
Oh,
I,
the be
I
careful.
think that's wrong.
I think I think there's other
Other people in here?
other people in here that are not only Xbox guys.
I'm not
They want
targeting anyone specifically. I'll just say there's been a lot of shade recently, like people don't play games. I'm here to tell you, I know a lot of people who played some games the last
But
week,
wait,
and based on chat.
wasn't it they don't play good games?
Oh, moving the bar, moving the bar. But yeah, so yeah, that's what I've been up to. Obviously, I am not used to being the crazy Louis energy. I forgot to even introduce myself. Hi, chat. I'm Silent Cypher. If you've never listened to us before, I'm the guy who just watches and listens while Crazy Louis puts himself in timeout.
Oh
And
man.
occasionally I chime in with witty quips and jabs when I can because I'm an asshole. Sorry for the language. But yeah, so we're gonna jump into it. We'll kind of talk a little bit about this evening. But actually, before you mention the flight itinerary, I did actually just want to drop something in real quick because you mentioned obviously that we've got subscriptions and stuff, but we do have other ways if people are interested in supporting or if they want to try anything. One of our sponsors actually reminder is that we're sponsored by W Energy. So if you guys haven't heard of it, it's an energy blend powder that can be blended into your drink of choice. And the best part is it doesn't give you that weird jitter, making you feel like a dumpster fire, like coffee or energy drinks can sometimes. Um, listeners of the show end up getting 10% on their first purchase of W if they decide they want to go to the website and purchase. It's just w.gg. You use the promo code XBI podcast at checkout and you're good to go. So if anyone wants to try it, give it a shot, let us know. Give us your feedback if you try it, just so we can see if this is something anyone's trying and if they're interested in more stuff like this in the future. But yeah, besides that, I think I'll kick it over to you if you want to talk about the itinerary real quick.
All right, yes. Let's go to the flight itinerary, which now that I notice, I haven't been switching cameras, but
It's
I'm
okay.
trying.
It's a two-man show right now. We're a little short-staffed. The
Yeah.
plane is
I,
flying on autopilot when we're talking. So
I was just trying to use your handsomeness to keep the people engaged.
my handsomeness, dude, I
Yes.
think people are getting sunburns off of how white my skin is. Are you kidding me?
Oh,
All
but
the lights are off. This light back here, this is just from my dome. So
so well, anyway, we're gonna talk about we're gonna talk a little bit about Transformer games coming to Game Pass. We're gonna talk about the road to 3 billion gamers, which we had talked in the past, but it seems that that goal still remains. We're gonna talk about the restart of the Xbox and Square Enix relationships and the effects of consolidation and subscription service and gaming. Oh my god, I'm all over the place. And then if we don't have if we have more time, since it's only two, even the chat might be able to pitch a few topics. But Captain, I'll go with you.
sorry, ladies and gentlemen, hit a little bit of turbulence there. Ladies and gentlemen, Sour has turned on the subscribe button. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Please stow your food and beverages next to your desk, underneath your seat, or in front of you. Please take your seat and fasten your seatbelt, and also make sure you've hit that notification bell. We gently remind you that smoking and drinking are not prohibited on this flight. However, completely butchering consolidation 5 times in a row, strictly prohibited, Sour. Pick it up. Pick it up. If you have any questions about our flights today, please don't hesitate to ask one of our flight panelists. Thank you. Back to you.
Oh man, yeah, that was bad. That was extremely bad. But let's quickly before we start the show, because we are gonna go back to you, Captain. Before I keep butchering stuff and
Give
and
me,
not pronouncing everything right,
yeah.
but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try my best to pronounce the chat
Hold
and
on,
give them
hold
a
on.
shout out.
Riff for 1 second while I've got to do one thing real quick, but I don't want to miss this. Give me like 10 seconds, okay? Just a moment.
All right. Well, while he comes back, let's see. Let's read the chat a little bit. Let's see, where did I left off? Doo-doo. Oh, more games too. Oh, G maybe played Akeda, Venba, Big Mick, Creed Valley, M Street Arcade, among other things. Whoa, you
Ooh,
really had a busy week.
Ant Stream Arcade, man. That is where to be. I actually, you know what? I take that back. I did play some of that this weekend also. So I'm right there with them. I'm glad to see people jumping into that. It's really good.
I want Big Plume. Just joking. Oh, so you don't want him? Oh man. Oh, I'm gonna tell
Um,
him when he comes back.
yeah, I'm sending him a message right now, letting him know. He'll be thoroughly disappointed. Okay, you go for
Oh,
it, man. I'm ready. I am all ears, sir.
all right. So let's begin on the top. So special shout out to Mr. Joanna Dark,
Hmm.
our first class member. Shout out to Back from the Dead, also a channel member. Shout out to Malcolm. I'll just say Malcolm X.
Malcolm X Lax.
Malcolm
Nice.
X Lax.
That's awesome.
Obi Rose Kenobi. Talos. Shout out to RWK88. Shout out to Raichi. Am I pronouncing it right?
Yep.
Okay, Dusty. Shout out to Dusty. Oh, let's see. And shout out to G Maybe. G Maybe, yes. Maybe. Maybe it's like
Maybe.
that. All right. And shout out to everyone that's listening, even if you're not in the chat. But Captain.
Yeah, you know what?
Oh,
I have another one to add though. Shout out to Plume.
oh yeah.
Swinging in to come hang out with us gentlemen this evening. Sir, good evening. Welcome. How are you?
Good evening, guys. Sorry I'm late
No,
again. Second week
dude,
in a
you're
row.
good. You're good. You're good.
Yeah, no, happy to be here.
Yeah,
how
have
I
you
miss
been?
some big topics, some big
I've
been good.
You
Just,
did.
it's been a busy week for me, so.
You remember the movie Ghost with Patrick Swayze, Whoopi Goldberg, Demi Moore, all those guys?
Yeah.
I feel like I pulled a Whoopi Goldberg and I channeled Crazy Louie for a minute at the beginning, and then I kicked him out of my body as quick as possible because I felt gross. You may have to go back and watch that later.
Is Louis recovering right now?
Yeah,
Not showing up tonight?
Unfortunately, he's on the mend, so he's hanging back for now. But hopefully, he'll be back with us next week. But sir, what have you been playing?
What have I been playing? Not too much. I've been in the middle of a move throughout the last week, so not playing very much. I'm actually going through Alan Wake again. I finished another chapter of that. I'm on the last chapter, so I'll be probably finishing that up before the end of this week. But that's pretty much been it. Like I've also been playing some of the older Call of Duties, just going in there just when I have some spare time, jumping into those servers. They're still packed, just crazy. It's great that they brought those back online.
Yeah, that's I'm realizing that I guess I played more than I thought too, because I jumped back into Black Ops myself, and then my brother and son decided it was necessary for us to go back and play the new one, and so we were playing a bunch of 24/7. What was it, Shipyard?
Yeah,
so that was chaos,
crazy action on that one. But that's a byproduct of bringing these old games back online. They probably are seeing another surge of people jumping back into the new ones. Because I'm thinking about like I kind of want to play some MW2 now, the recent one.
If you do, just let me know, because I will play some more of that too.
Let's do it.
Cool. Well, yeah. So we're going to jump into it. First topic we're actually going to talk about this evening, which actually has
before you start, real quick.
Yeah.
You might hear something in the background, and no, it's not Dark Vader. It's actually Mr. Joanna Dark. So, Mr. Joanna Dark, I believe you should be on. Okay, we can't hear you now.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. Hello? You're my only hope.
It's like a faded.
It's you're fading.
Are you in a tunnel?
No.
He's coming to us live.
Can you guys hear me at all?
Yes.
Yeah,
Hello.
Yeah, no. What's up, guys? I guess it didn't pick up my headphones. No, I heard you guys talking online, so I was like, hey, talking about online. Splatoon came back and Mario Party came back.
You're going away, man.
You're breaking up. I can't hear any of that.
I heard Splatoon and Mario Party, so it sounds like definitely something Dark would say.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Kinda.
Yeah.
You gotta put some more duct tape around those 56K modems, so that way it keeps it insulated when you're trying to connect to the interwebs.
Hey, can you guys hear me
now? Kinda. Again.
Hold on.
This isn't Dark Vader.
Do I sound better
Dark
now?
Helmet in the flash.
Dark Helmet. Yeah. How dare you go over my helmet?
Oh. Talk now. Hello? You there?
Yeah,
Maybe try saying Code Veronica sucks. I think that would fix it.
if you guys can't hear me, continue the show. Don't derail it.
It's just like a muffled.
I think, yeah. I think we're gonna have to keep on. We can't hear you. You're with us in spirit, though, sir. So yeah, so while he gets that figured out, if it'll work out, we actually did get some more details on this evening. But regarding Transformers games coming to Game Pass, right? So obviously, a bunch of people have been kind of throwing together their wish lists as to what they want to see coming for Game Pass now that it looks like the ActiBliz acquisition is going to close up soon. We're going to finally see the results of this whole thing, right? So one of the things that people brought up is, but what about all those Transformers games? Because they had really good games that they brought out over that time frame.
Yeah.
So Transformers games from Activision, God, what it was? I'm trying to remember. It was 360 titles, if I remember correctly, right? And so what we ended up hearing initially is that I think it was from Hasbro. Weren't they the ones that dropped out and they were like, unfortunately, the files have seemed to be misplaced, which means it will be really hard for that type of stuff to come back and make an appearance. However, we did find out from Lulu Chang Messervey today that those have not been lost. So apparently they do have the copies of this and they would be able to actually put something like this on there, which gets me personally excited because I feel like I missed a moment of those games. Like I missed a section of time on some of that stuff. And I've always heard really good things. I just didn't get to play all of them at the time because that generation, we had games coming out so often that it was really hard to hit everything. Not all of us managed to power through it like a Stallion or Randall Thor or something, right? Like most of us got to play a game or two here and there. We didn't have Game Pass that we could dip in all the time and play on games wherever we wanted. But Plume, I assume this is probably something that you'd be stoked for. But are you interested in these Transformers games? Would you go back and revisit them if they show up?
Yeah, absolutely. I played, I think, Fall of Cybertron. I played Devastation. I forget if I played the other one, Spark or whatever it's called. War. What was it called? Rise of the Dark Spark. I forget if I played that one, but so I would love to go back and check that one out. But yeah, I think this is great. I mean, they're like Devastation in particular is a phenomenal game. It has like the cell shaded graphics and stuff, and they're just like fun third person action games. And on top of that, I have the physical copies of them, a Fall of Cybertron. I believe Rise of the Dark Spark, even though I forget if I played it or not. And I believe the price of those games, if you want to pick them up and play them, are going up. Like they're skyrocketing. So it'd be great if they just drop those in to Game Pass and people can just check them out, because I don't see, like, it'll be harder and harder as these games become more expensive. And that's more people are talking about. Whenever they bring back titles like this, whenever people are talking about it, generally it increases the prices of them too. If you're trying to pick up the physical copy, I don't even know if you can still buy them on the digital store. I have to check that out. I am sure Transformers Devastation you can, but the other ones, right? But yeah, I hope that they do bring them back, and it's good to hear that they didn't lose the code or whatever they need to get these games out.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like maybe there's more to this, and there's actually a possibility this will happen. I think if I remember correctly, based on what you're saying, I want to say two of them are available in the digital storefront. I thought
Yeah.
one of them. It was kind of like Fear. I don't know if you ever played Fear when they made it back compat, but
Yeah.
I think two of those ones you had to have the disc, and one of them was available digitally. So I think it's the same thing for this, except for I think two of them were available digital. One of them you had to have the disc. That is actually a good thing, though, the fact that those are on there. Like if this does come to Game Pass, hopefully that'll mean that some of the inflated pricing on the discs will drop down as well, because people won't be able to just sell it for like a boatload of money.
Yeah, that's it
So
too.
so then if someone does want a physical copy, like it's still an option, right? Is like
Yeah.
those people who maybe never got their hands on it back in the day or sold their copies or whatever, never thinking they were going to go back to it, like, sounds like now's maybe a chance. And so it seems like potentially we'll start seeing some of this stuff come. The question obviously would be like when this will end up actually hitting, if it'll be something that'll land as soon as the acquisition goes through. We've obviously talked about the potential of it being a little while, or the possibility of like a giant dump of games like right after things go, which would be awesome. But we also found out, so they've got the San Diego Comic Con 2023, the Hasbro show floor Q&A. They've got some details they're going to be hitting there too. Speaking of Hasbro, they're going to be talking about like Legacy, some studio series, some video game related announcements and stuff. They've got some more Transformers news coming. So it seems like everything's lining up that we're going to see uh, a lot of Transformers over the next little bit, and I'm personally really excited. But Sour, real quick, are you at all interested in this? Are you going to be making that dive back into that sweet, sweet Transformers action?
Well,
Are you gonna be like an Autobot and roll out?
before I give my opinion, two things. First, shout out to Raichi. He's actually also a channel member. I forgot. I think I didn't mention it. The second thing is, I didn't think I would read this in the chat, but a giant dump are definitely more satisfying. What do you mean about that? What did you mean with that? You maybe.
I
Oh man.
mean, the man's not wrong. But
I guess in this case, yeah, it does make sense. But anyway,
I I made the mistake and put it there, so I guess that was my bad.
oh man. But regarding the Transformer games,
Mhm.
I actually did not play them because again,
Okay.
when I had a 360, it was more like for business. It wasn't really. I didn't play much. So
For
I'm excited.
for
Sorry.
business. Sorry, I don't know if you've ever told me what what were you doing?
Okay, when I was in college,
Mhm.
I had two 360. When I first started college, when I first started college, I had two 360 and two PlayStation 3. And what I did, I would rent them for like hours, and kids would go. They would rent an hour, pay me, and I had a small
Wow.
business there, and they are. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. I
But
can appreciate the hustle. I like it.
yeah,
It's
yeah, I
good.
was hustling, and then I would play. If I did play, I would play on my PC. But the point is, I am excited, especially for my son. I don't know if those games are co-op or not, but I know my son really likes Transformer, so it would be nice. And I think also this kind of helps the future because we did saw Hasbro was interested in bringing those titles,
Mhm.
and if if these titles get traction, there then more games could be coming, and there is already one that's actually in the making.
Yeah.
There is a Transformer game that we saw a trailer.
Yeah.
So in a way, I think this kind of helps build a relationship with Xbox and Hasbro, where maybe even if they don't get exclusivity, but hopefully more of those games could come to Game Pass. So that would be nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean this definitely opens up the door. Obviously, like the acquisition, everything going on, like Transformers is is back on the rise. It's kind of gaining like a second wind, as it were, because it felt like there for a second it was starting to kind of drop off again. Um, some of the movies like weren't like super well received towards the end of like the Shia LaBeouf and whatever era of Transformers. And it feels like things are starting to go back. Like obviously we ended up seeing that Bumblebee one. We saw the most recent one, which was pretty well reviewed as well. Everyone's getting into Transformers again. I don't know if either of you guys really play much of it, but Fortnite has actually had a ton of Transformers stuff going on recently as well. So the big unlock in this season is actually Optimus Prime, and there's a couple different skins and stuff that you can get. And early on, they actually had one of like the Beast Wars versions of Optimus that you could get in the store as well. So it's been kind of cool seeing a whole bunch of Optimus Prime like running all over Fortnite, attacking each other and stuff. Like it's cool to see Transformers coming back in a way that I was worried maybe it wouldn't for quite a bit longer than what it did. That dormancy period, I feel like wasn't as long as I expected. I figured this thing was going to get like shot down, and then we weren't going to see it for like decades. Because you look at something like Tron, right? The last time we saw a sequel, everyone loved it, but it didn't do well as far as like finances go, and then it got put on the back burner. So I'm glad to see that Transformers is making a big step, and I look forward to seeing more really soon. But Sour, I think you got something to talk about.
Oh
Whoa,
yeah, well, what was that? What's going on?
Was that me?
That wasn't my lightning storm, I'll tell you that.
That could have been me moving my keyboard. Sorry.
You're good.
No, you're good. You're good. You sure it was the keyboard?
Nobody is dying under my table right now. Don't worry.
Big dumps. So big dumps.
So again, before I start with the next topic, shout out to Ham Solo there in the chat from TSWS Gaming. If you haven't subscribed to his channel, please do so. He's a great guy. But the next topic, it's we're gonna talk about the road to $3 billion. 3 billion gamers. Oh my god. What's going on with me today?
Are you saying that the consumer is just money to these people?
No, I never said that.
Anyways, continue.
But anyway, I'm just, it's crazy he's not here, man. Crazy is my my little spark.
He's your Sherpa on the road of podcasting.
But anyway, yes. So we had talked in the past. I think there's even an episode that was kind of theme around the 3 billion gamers. And we talked a lot about how Xbox was trying to reach that number. To be honest, I thought maybe they had scaled down a little bit, but we got some information, some documents from the hearing that actually it seems to remain. They still are focused. They still want to reach those 3 billion gamers. I don't know if they have had the growth they needed, but at the same time, we haven't seen the games that they needed to, to release. So I would like to ask you guys. Let's start with you, Plume. What do you think Xbox needs to do to kind of continue to, or kind of reach those 3 billion gamers one day?
Well, I think what they're currently doing with their strategy is the only way to do it, which is to expand it to mobile. I feel like there's really no other way, because you're going to have to capture the casual gamer. You're going to have to capture people who want to use cloud gaming on their phone, all that type of stuff, right? To get 3 billion gamers, it seems like an insane number. So I think they just kind of have to keep doing what they're doing, but it's also interesting, especially with the stuff that we saw this week in cloud gaming, where there's like heavy queue times when you're trying to log into cloud gaming, and there's questions as to whether Xbox is kind of backing away from it, not putting as much resources into it because of what Sarah Bond had said during the Activision Blizzard trial, basically that it wasn't profitable. So I think cloud has to be huge. They have to continue to invest in cloud. They have to expand that infrastructure out and stuff like that. Obviously, as a console gamer, it's like the way I play games. I want them to continue to focus heavily on console, but if they're going to want to reach 3 billion gamers, you're not going to get 3 billion people buying a console, especially playing all in one generation, right? It's like essentially impossible. So I think just got to keep doing what they're doing, expanding out subscription and cloud gaming and stuff like that.
Let me also ask you this, Plume, because I saw I saw I don't know, I don't remember where I heard this, but I did hear the theory, and it does kind of make sense in a way. Like you said, cloud, they're not making money, they're actually losing money. However, Chat GPT, which is something that they are kind of making money and it's growing rapidly, and they do need to use. Do you think they're using these servers for that, and that's why we're seeing these long waits?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely a possibility, but it's it's weird because we did also hear them say that they sacrificed the console, right, to grow, to invest in the future, which would be the cloud, which would be the subscription, stuff like that. So it would just be an odd thing for them to kind of already be giving up and moving to something else. Obviously, cloud gaming is going to take a while to become very profitable, as the connection issues, or people, not everyone has a steady connection, or everyone has a great experience. That's just going to grow over time as technology gets better and as the internet improves in different parts of the world. But if they back away now, right, they're never going to be able to reach that goal of 3 billion gamers, I don't think. So I think maybe they're trying to get that short-term profit of AI cash in now, and then when that levels out, go back to investing more into cloud, when, as right now, they're looking at the numbers and it's like the least popular part of Game Pass. So that probably does make some sense for sure.
Okay, well, I'm gonna spin it to Silent. Silent, do you think that it has to do with that, or do you think maybe somehow as of late, because of the hype, maybe because of the Activision deal, hopefully closing soon, because of Starfield, do you think they're having substantial growth that maybe they weren't expecting, and maybe this is making the servers, or do you have any other theory in mind?
We're just talking cloud specific, right?
Yes, yes.
Um, honestly, I think it's more like what Plume's talking about. I think, I mean, yeah, they've had a surge for sure, but I don't think that's going to affect this side necessarily. Especially given what we know about Microsoft and what they've told us in the past, or what we've found out in like filings and stuff, is we know that they've got server farms like all over the place. This was always a thing back in the day too, is like if a big game or something came out, they'd basically start up another server farm. They'd like boot it up, and like, yeah, it'd take a little bit for it to get set up, but once everything was up and running, like things were alleviated pretty quick. So I would think you would have to have a major oversurge for it to affect them on that side of things. I don't think they put as much focus in it. I don't think that she was necessarily being disingenuous on that. Like, I think she was telling the truth. Is they probably anticipated that cloud was going to be bigger, and it didn't turn out to be that as much. Like, I think ultimately, when you look at it, I don't know if you've played it recently, but personally, when I've used the cloud side instead and done the cloud streaming from my console, yes, it works on occasion, pretty decent. You have to have a hardwire connection on that console, because if your system is in your house wireless and you're trying to connect to it over a wireless network, it's a mess. But if you jump on to Game Pass, no matter what you're doing, like be it cell service, Wi-Fi, or whatever, it's usually a pretty solid experience when it comes down to it. So I think probably a lot of people tooled around with it, got a feel for it, and were like, yeah, this is okay, but it's not for me. It's not performing the way I would prefer. So I would bet that most of the numbers you would see would be on Game Pass side. But even then, I don't think they're having that big a swell that's explaining some of those cues. Some of those cues are brutal too.
Yeah. It's funny because I was at work today on my lunch break. I was just like, I wanted to test it out, see if I was going to get a queue. And I was on my phone just over 5G network or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And there was 0 queue, and my connection was actually really good. I was surprised at how well the connection was through Game Pass on a mobile network. So I think I mean, the tech's there. It's just a matter of how popular is it going to become. But like, I never really use cloud gaming other than when I'm doing just random spurts here and there. Like today was just because I wanted to test it out and see if it was as bad as we were hearing in on Reddit and stuff about the queue. So, but I didn't get any queue at all.
Yeah, and I would imagine, obviously it's going to depend on peak time and stuff like that as well, right? Like if we tried to jump on right now, maybe we get
Yeah.
a different experience than what you would get like around lunchtime, or who knows.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. It's like it's a markedly uh pretty impressive difference, and and change to see like how well it plays. Like when you play Game Pass over 5G or whatever, it holds up really well. I remember playing a ton of stuff when I was actually, because I had a bunch of trainings I had to sit through for a while, and I had a lot of downtime when I wasn't in trainings at work. And so I'd just pop my phone open when I had a good break, and I was playing on Game Pass, and it felt great. Like honestly, like I'd play a bunch of Vampire Survivors or whatever, and it felt really responsive. It didn't feel like there was, a noticeable amount of latency or anything that was ruining the experience. I've enjoyed that a lot so far.
Yeah,
I'm not sure
personally,
if that answers all your questions, Sour.
yeah, it does. It does. Personally, I haven't had that much issue with cloud, but I'm not also to tend to use cloud a lot. But for example, like I said, I was playing a Fist, and Fist has been one that I initially started playing it a lot on cloud,
Mm-hmm.
and then once I got the ROG Ally, I started playing it more there. But I did try playing it. I think it was yesterday, and I did get like a 3 minute queue. So I didn't know about the whole queue thing when I got that. I'm like, wow, this is weird. I never gotten this before.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully they address that because not
Would
so much for me, but for people that only use cloud, that has to be disturbing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not trying to be a wet blanket over the possibility that they're getting more traffic. Like I'm sure they've got more traffic, right? Like it's probably more than what it was previously. They probably are getting some more attention and stuff. Um, if you're seeing a queue on that, like I've still never run into a queue when I jump into Game Pass. The first time I actually ran into a queue was when I jumped into Diablo, and when I saw a queue, I was like, "You can take this queue and shove it sideways because this queue stuff is not for me." But for like a 3 minute wait, like that's doable. But I think I had like a 15 or a 20 minute wait when I was playing Diablo 4 the last time. I was like, no,
Yeah.
no, I'll
And
play something else.
if it gets to that point in cloud gaming, like 15, 20 minutes, it's just going to kill it. Like the reason people play cloud gaming is so they don't have to download it and they can play it instantly,
Yes.
right? Like that's one of the main reasons. So there's not even a point of having that feature if they have queues that long.
And that's the whole purpose, right? Is it's an impulse pick up and play thing. Like, oh, I got 5 or 10 minutes while I'm on the UTA or something like that. Like, you pick it up, you play. If you're sitting there staring at a screen the whole time, all you're going to do is get pissed off. You're not going to get game time. And that's not going to make anyone happy. So,
Yeah, not at all. My basically gaming on cloud so far, besides that little hiccups, I have had like a good relationship with it. But I don't know about you guys.
yeah.
Yeah. It's been for me, it was hit and miss at the beginning, and now it's just steadily improved in terms of like less lag, less breakup of the picture, all that type of stuff. And then like today, when I said today when I was playing on 5G, I was surprised, and I was playing first. I was playing some Super Mega Baseball 3, and like you're playing a baseball game, you need to be able to time when you're hitting, right? It's all about you can't have too much lag, and it was fine. Like I was able to hit the ball and have fun. So far it's been okay recently.
All right, well, Captain,
Yeah.
what do you have next?
Yeah. So, I'm going to pull a crazy and be like, speaking about fire, so so one thing obviously that we saw over the last few days, and this one's obviously the one that's like really blown up, is the fact that Xbox and Square Enix look to be having a nice budding relationship. That video, seeing Phil Spencer walk up and meet up with them and have the introduction, them saying like, "Hey, Final Fantasy 14 is coming to the Xbox." Whether you like Final Fantasy or not, that's a big move. That is a big move because we have seen that relationship. We've seen the fact that because they are a lower end player in regards to the competition right now, getting something like this in their ecosystem, they would probably have to pay a lot more to do so. Sony has the ability because they've got that clout. They've been there and they're the market leader. So that's, I think, why a lot of this has gone their way. But Phil and Co. I can't give just Phil credit because obviously Sarah Bond and a bunch of other folks are involved. But it looks like they're starting to work on this relationship and make like the dollars and cents argument for why this thing should be, on the Xbox platform. Obviously, there's been a lot of attention, a lot of interest for more Final Fantasy to come. Uh, and looks like it's coming now, right? So we found out that Final Fantasy 14 Online is going to be officially coming to Series X and S in spring of 2024. So not very long to wait, and realistically, the rest of this year is packed. So it's probably good that it's like towards kind of the slow time of this next year. So that way people can really dive into it and not skip on like Starfield and Stalker and stuff like that. But it's going to be boasting 4K support on Series X, and it's going to have faster load times on both consoles, with an open beta coming soon as well. So people will get a chance to kind of dip their toes in. That'll give them the opportunity to make sure this thing's ready to roll once spring comes around and they want to do a full launch. And it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge based on all the feedback I saw on Twitter the last few days. People are losing their minds. Unfortunately, some people are getting really crappy about it. There's been some occurrences, right? Sour, like we ended up seeing, what was the guy's name? Is Ginger Gaming, I think it is, or
Yeah. I'm laughing at the chat.
I figured you were laughing at me because I had said something wrong.
Let me just read this.
Go for it.
Baby said, Square Guy and Phil needs to work on their Power Ranger handshake. Oh,
Dude,
man.
that handshake was amazing. Like on the back scenes, like you were convinced they were going to turn into like, a gigantic transformer of some sort, or a gigantic
Oh.
emo band in the vein of Final Fantasy 15. But yeah, so like obviously we saw Ginger Prime and we saw some of those like where, the dude lost his mind when this happened, and rightfully so. Like the guy's been championing the fact that, Final Fantasy and Square's relationship, like with Xbox, needed to get better over time, and he was championing it for a long, long time. And when this moment happens, like if you folks in the chat have not seen the video, go check out his video of when this was announced a couple days ago, and he loses his mind, but in like the best of ways. And it was like it was so genuine, and it was so cool to see someone like, I've told you before, I'm not a big Final Fantasy guy myself, but when I saw that, I was super happy for him. Like, I'm happy for the people who are stoked about Final Fantasy because this is something that they've been waiting for a long time, and they kept getting the knocks when it came to stuff like this. Like, Final Fantasy 16 comes out, and whether it's a good thing or not in regards to it being a giant movie, people wanted to play it on their Xbox. And the fact that that's not the case is kind of a bummer. So the fact that they're starting to work on this relationship, and we might actually see more than just stuff like obviously Final Fantasy 14 over time, like that's killer, and that's a big success for Xbox. But Sour, does this do anything for you? Are you a Final Fantasy fan? Are you jazzed? Are you hyped up about this announcement, sir?
Oh boy, I am. I'm actually not hype. I stopped playing Final Fantasy since Final Fantasy X, but I still think, like you said, this is huge. This is huge. Not maybe not for me, but it's huge for those players that have been, champion these games, and also it's huge in order for Xbox to reach that, the Asian market, because it has been well known that it has been very hard for them to get these Square Enix games, and the fact that they got Final Fantasy 14, which is one of the biggest MMO, if not the biggest one right now, I think is huge. And like you said, Ginger Prime reaction, it's um I don't know why people made a big deal about this. At the end of the day, it's someone excited for a game that's
Mhm.
going to his platform, and I didn't see the big deal about it. Like,
I, I
let the guy enjoy.
and I think more than anything, sorry to interrupt you, but I think more than anything, it was a specific subset of people that were bashing him for it, right? Like, because in general, Xbox side was stoked for him, like, and a lot of those folks were stoked. It's folks that take things to the extremes that are a little bit upset the fact that now their precious Final Fantasy is no longer going to only be on PlayStation, and that upsets them. That makes their tummies a little bit angry. Yeah. So I think that's the reason why we're seeing this, right? But like, shout out to him and props to him. Like, I'm stoked for him. Like I said, I'm not. Maybe I'll play it. Maybe I'll play more of those as time goes on. But for someone who's super stoked about that, like, that's a huge win. And for Microsoft, like you said, in that market, they need a stranglehold. They need better foothold than what they have right now. Because right now it's just not a lot. They've got Tango, and that's about it. And so the fact that they'll have this support on that side will help a lot.
Yeah, I
But
do think slowly they have been building good relationships. You see, they have Kojima making a game. They have built great relationship with Sega, and you even saw with Capcom, you just got a game come into Game Pass day one. So I feel like if they continue to build some of these relationship, hopefully, I think they should try to invest. If they can't get like a publisher, maybe try investing in some studios that you see potential. Maybe form a small division there, but you gotta show them that you're all in that market in that side of of the globe, and hopefully slowly, you can build that fan base on that side, but you have to you have to do better in marketing on both, not only on that side of the globe. I'm just gonna throw that out. If after this topic, if you guys want to talk about that, we can also, that's another topic. But
that's
continue.
those are the facts for sure. Is like, it's pretty. It, and Plume, I'll have you jump in on this also, but I think it's unfortunate how little they promote some things. Like, obviously we see some things are lining up. You look at something like Starfield, because they're getting blasted for that, and I'm sure that's part of what you're talking about. But it's like, we're getting ready to see that at Gamescom, and then it's like a solid month run of just nonstop bombardment, I would assume, for something like Starfield. But this is Microsoft's MO. We've seen it a lot over the years. Is the communication and the marketing is not always where it needs to be. Um, Microsoft, which I'm sure no one from Xbox is listening to me right now, but take heed and understand. I really think that some of those controllers are cool. But please put some of your R&D efforts and some of your budget into communication and marketing. I don't need all the controllers, just a few, but I don't need all the controllers. I need you guys to communicate it better and make people understand why they need to get into the ecosystem, so I have more people to play online with. But Plume, so Final Fantasy, I think I saw a wince on your face when Sour said he's not into it. Is this, first off, is Final Fantasy something you're excited about? Final Fantasy 14 specifically.
I mean, I've played a lot of Final Fantasy games. I wouldn't consider myself like a mega fan or anything, but I've played a ton of them, and I do like the series. And I always get excited when they announce the new one and they release a new one. I am going to play Final Fantasy 16 at some point. But Final Fantasy 14 for me personally is a very like soft spot in my heart, because it was a game that when the pandemic hit and nobody knew what was going on, and I know different parts of the world it was handled differently. In Canada, they literally locked everybody down and you couldn't do anything.
Mhm.
So I played Final Fantasy 14, logged on, and I literally grinded. I think you could pay to like start at a higher level, but I just grinded literally from 1 to the max level and for like a long time. And then I played so much of it in such a short period of time, I got burnt out. So I'm really excited for it to come to Xbox. I'm definitely going to log back in with my character and just jump back in on Xbox. And I'm hoping that there's like achievements and stuff that'll make it even better. So yeah, I'm really excited with this announcement. And it was something that I think people thought was coming sooner. If you guys remember all the way back in 2019 at EXO 19, there was a huge section of it of Phil Spencer talking about how all these games are coming from the Final Fantasy series, and it made you think that they had this really good relationship with Square Enix, which maybe in 2019 they did, but obviously since then, with PlayStation coming in and dropping bags and bags, that relationship wasn't as good anymore. So I think because of that, this also signals that like the Xbox is back, essentially, in the eyes of Square Enix, in the eyes of potentially Japan, in a way where they know that Xbox isn't popular in Japan, but they're willing to put the money, time, and resources into putting their games on the console, whereas previously, with the last couple of years of Final Fantasy VII Remake and 16, they weren't willing to do that. So I think this is a great announcement. I'm pretty excited for it. And like what you guys are talking about in terms of getting more into Japan, they definitely need to do more. But I think from the beginning of this generation until now, we've seen a huge change. Phil Spencer at the beginning of this generation was like, that was one of the things he was focusing on. And I mean, we just look at the last event where they announced 2 Atlas games, which is something you probably would have never expected in previous years. But yeah, all that to say, Final Fantasy 14, I'll be playing it when it drops on Xbox.
Yeah. I wasn't even thinking about that for a second, but yeah, I remember what you're talking about. They dropped a bunch of those all in Game Pass all at the same time, some of those older ones right into it. And that was a big thing. It did look like all of a sudden there was like that sea change right then. And then all of a sudden it kind of went like radio silent for the next bit. And we're just like, but I thought maybe this was actually going to, lead out to something. Shout out to Jay Vargas joining us also as well. Good evening, sir. I think I kind of wonder if maybe they showed up with bags of money at Square and they're like, hey, we want to get this back catalog in our Game Pass. And then Sony got pissed off and was like, yo, no more of that crap. And so like they maybe like locked him into a bigger thing, and they're like, hey, listen, we're console leader and we'll pull support if you do something like that. Like, obviously we'll never know the full story. Who knows what actually happened? We can only speculate. But I feel like that probably was not something that Sony was okay with when those showed up in Game Pass. Like, I don't see a world in which Sony was like, yes, I'm happy to see Final Fantasy on other systems. Like, I'm trying to remember, someone actually mentioned, I think it was G maybe, or maybe, damn it. Sorry, I'm missing it. Who was it? Someone, Malcolm Xlax actually stated it. He made the comment about how it hurt him when they took Final Fantasy away from Nintendo, right? And that's kind of where I think is like there's probably that cutthroat tactic where when that happened, where Microsoft did this, they probably came back and were like, no, stop it. Because Sony obviously had no problem with taking it away from Nintendo back in the day when PS2 timeframe came around.
Yeah, I forgot to mention this. Now, this is something that like could completely mean absolutely nothing, but I did get a DM on Twitter the other day, and it was somebody who sent me a screenshot back from 2020 when they had asked Xbox support whether Final Fantasy 14 was going to be coming over to Xbox. And back in 2020, so this could have literally just been a mistake, Xbox support responded and said, thank you for reaching out to us on Twitter. Final Fantasy 14 is expected to arrive sometime in the second half of 2020. The official release date is yet to be revealed. So like there could have been something in the works back in 2020, right after XO19 for the game. And who knows what happened to make that entire thing fall apart. But it definitely seems like something fell apart because after they made that huge announcement, it took a while. Like it was going into like late 2020, and some of those games hadn't hit Game Pass. And I would love to know what would happen, but we probably will never know.
Love to be a fly on the wall in that situation, but it does look like we're starting to see a resurgence with some of these companies. You guys had mentioned Atlas. One of my hopes is because we got looked over on the Xbox side when the Catherine full body like remake or the remaster came out just a couple years ago. That only came to Sony. And I really hope that we see that Catherine remaster show up on this side, and hopefully more of their quirky stuff as well. I'd love to see Trauma Center if they can figure out the control scheme, to be honest. Sorry, Sour.
No, you're fine. I'm actually I don't know these games. I'm like,
Oh,
surprised. Yeah, you gotta show me these games.
You've never played Catherine?
I never even heard of it.
Oh man, if Ham is in the chat, I don't know if he's still here, but if Ham's here, I'm sure he's played it, and I think he'll agree with me on this. If Plume's played it too, like you are in for a ride, sir. Catherine is quite an experience of a game. It's cool. It's very bizarre, and there's a lot of weird stuff on that game where all you're doing is like.
Is that like? Is it kind of comic book looking?
Yes.
And it's a girl like with pink hair, I think.
Yes.
Okay, I seen it. I know. Where
have you played it though?
No, I haven't played it.
Okay. You need to do yourself a favor and grab it. I'm sure because it's back compat. I'm sure it's probably like $5 or $10 at this point. It is absolutely worth picking up and playing. It's wild. It's absolutely worth your time. I can't wait to see your responses. You should almost play that as like a live stream. I think that'd be pretty great.
Okay, well, what I was gonna say real quick, jumping on what Plume was saying about the relationship with Square Enix and the email. Do you think maybe that could have been related? Because we saw on the trial or the hearing, whatever you want to call it, that Square was one of the target that Microsoft had, and I don't know if this is a rumor or this was also in the papers that they actually went and were going to acquire them, but then they kind of stepped back, and maybe that kind of hindered the relationship.
Yeah. I mean, there's always the possibility, right? Where like maybe they were to the point where they were actually having some conversations and things were looking to maybe go a certain way with that, right? And then as we know, we saw how things ended up. And so like maybe that caused some bad blood between the two of them, and maybe that's why we see that like sudden shift in cadence. Like it seemed like things were getting better, and then it just went radio silent. Plume, what do you think about that?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, Square Enix went through a period where, I mean, they sold off their Western studios, and it seemed like they were trying to like cut the fat. So maybe they were desperate at a certain point for money. For I don't know, but maybe they were just like they thought that was their out. They were ready to sell off, and then they got pulled out from under them. So they went in a different direction. PlayStation maybe was like saw that as a chance to come in. Couldn't afford to buy Square Enix, but could afford to give them bags of money to get their games exclusive onto the platform. Could be. I mean, that would be quite the story if that ever did come out.
I like that, and I don't feel like it's Sour. I don't feel like that's too far fetched. Honestly, right? Is like, and Plume brings up the fact, like, yeah, they were trimming fat. I remember the conversation when all that stuff happened. Everyone was assuming, oh, they're getting ready to get bought. They're cleaning house so they can prepare to look like a really like appealing purchase for someone. And so it makes you wonder if like maybe something like that happened, because we know that with Bethesda, that was kind of one of those surprise things where like this opportunity came up. They didn't want to pass on it. They didn't want to risk that going away. And so like maybe that caused bad blood. Like Plume said, we'll probably never know, but it doesn't seem very far-fetched, because things do actually line up pretty good as far as the time frame of those events. Like that could very well be the case. It seems more likely than just Sony being like yeah, we're going to punish you if you don't if you bring those games to their console. I think that one actually makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, and G maybe in the chat makes a good point that the new CEO just started last month, so maybe that was the
Yeah.
turnaround where the old guy still wouldn't have done any business with Microsoft,
Yeah.
but he's coming in here with a new lookout on everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and he obviously wants to make money. So he sees the $3 billion dollars that Sourblow was talking about earlier.
He also sees a game like Pikmin 4 destroying Final Fantasy 16 in sales in Japan right now, so he's probably what's going on there.
Yeah.
You know what I do want from Square? I want I would love that that Final Fantasy, like that Pixel collection. I would love that to come to, to Xbox. I would also like to see a remaster of, like, kind of like how they did with Final Fantasy 7, but of Trigger. I think that would
Yeah,
be pretty cool. And then the
that'd be
last
great.
thing is bring the other Octopath Traveler game to the side. So
Yeah, which
Now
one was
that
on
would
Game Pass?
yeah.
yeah.
That would draw some more attention, that's for sure, because I know that one was really well received.
But since we got a little bit of time, let's say a little bit more on this topic, and let's talk about who would you guys like? Because we've been hearing people saying that because of this relationship now, that maybe, Square could be the next target for Microsoft. Who do you guys think should be the next target if we're basing it on trying to reach the Asian market? Like, what do you think should be their approach? Let's go back to you, Silent.
Oh, I'm gonna be predictable on this one, but I do think there's a world where Sega can happen and probably will happen. Realistically, like that seems like the safe bet for me.
We're gonna have to stay away from Twitter for a while, right? Because Everborn, Everborn will take over Twitter.
I only yeah. Well, and usually, right, like when it's said 3 times he appears. I only said it once. Only said it once. So just make sure you don't say it more while we talk about it. But yeah, I think that one would be a realistic one. Um, I know a lot of folks would love Capcom, but I just don't see that one as much. Sega makes a lot of sense. The relationship is very much there, it seems like. And they've been teasing it back and forth so much. Like you look at Sarah Bond, like constantly throwing stuff up with Sonic and random stuff like that, and you're just like,
Hmm.
this sure seems like some folks are getting real buddy, and even if they don't buy them immediately right off the bat, obviously, just like what we're talking about with Square Enix, right? Is like the relationship is there. It's getting to a place where you're seeing them be very friendly with each other as far as like marketing, as far as like their sales and stuff like that. They're they're definitely they're definitely good friends right now, I guess is the best way I could say it. If I wanted to get something that was like a weird random grab, I don't know if there's one off the top of my head that I would pick, but that would be the thing that would come to my mind.
All right. Well,
Sorry, Plume,
no, you're good.
if
You're
I
good.
took
Well,
yours.
when you said Sega, I saw Plume.
That was two.
He shook his head and he put his middle fingers up, and he was pissed about it. No, just playing. Plume, what would
No,
be your
that's
pick?
that's the exact opposite reaction. Sega is what I would go with too. I love Sega. Of all the ones out there, for me, like Sega would be um the best one to go after. I just with the relationship, it just makes a ton of sense, and they have so many great IPs, and they also have like, I mean, they literally just announced Atlas games on their showcase. Like it seems like um that relationship is just so bolstered. So I think it has to be Sega if they're going to be focusing on one of these big publishers. But and like you said, Silent, Sarah Bond's got to stop with these teases. It's over and over and over again.
It's great.
Why take a picture of the Sega building when you're on a train in London on a vacation? Do you know how many other pictures could be taken instead of that one? But she chose to pick that one. Like, come on. You can't. Yeah.
She's having herself a good old time right now, and it's a lot of fun to watch, but it also hurts at the same time because it's like, man, you can't keep teasing me with all this stuff and not show up at the table with something eventually, right? Like, you better have something up your sleeve, otherwise this is going to be something we're going to think about a couple years from now and be like, what the hell was that about? Like, why'd you get our hopes up?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I personally, I agree with you guys. I guess the option that makes more sense is definitely Sega. Also, adding, I think Plume has said it in one of his videos. They also bought a mobile studio, so that
Rovio.
also,
Oh,
Rovio.
yeah,
so that even makes more sense.
Yeah,
that's the Angry Birds guys.
Yeah,
correct. Yeah,
yeah.
The one wishful thinking that I would like would have been Capcom, but I guess the next best option or the best option in total like it makes sense, like you guys said, like relationship wise, IP wise. You got the mobile studio now. It's definitely Sega, and Sega has been around for ages, so you definitely could could reach that that audience. That would make a big impact.
Yeah, and like Capcom would be cool, but it's just like out of all of the publishers, it's like Capcom is that one that never misses when they release a game. It's always a banger, and it seems like they have no issues ever. They're always making money. Then they just increase their wages for everybody at the company. Like they're just making money.
They did have their issues for a while. Like
yeah.
But they kind of regrouped and they did their stuff and they came back and they came back swinging. So they haven't missed since.
Yeah.
All right, Captain.
Yeah, so actually, Sour, we'll get the chat engaged on this one because I'm curious. Obviously, I'm seeing some stuff pop in there. Are you able to throw up a quick poll?
Yes,
because I'm curious. And I feel bad because it's just like one of those things where I don't remember all all the dev studios that are there, but the ones
what's the poll you want to make?
So what would be the next acquisition, right?
In Japan or?
Yeah, in Japan. Well, if they were going to focus on a Japanese studio, right? Would it be Sega? Would it be Capcom? Or
Bandai Namco?
Or Bandai Namco or Konami?
Oh, yeah. Koei Tecmo?
Or Koei. Yeah, there's a lot more than I realize sometimes.
Okay, hold on. Sega? Square?
Yep, Sega, Square. Oh, Square. Well, yeah, I guess you could. Capcom.
Capcom.
Bandai Namco. How many does it let you do?
I think it's only four.
Probably 4. Do we want Konami or Bandai?
I think Bandai makes more sense. I don't think.
You don't think anyone wants Dude, they're bringing
Konami,
back Metal Gear.
Yeah, but
unless they're heavily investing in pachinko machines, I don't know if they really want to.
Yeah, that one seems like it would actually have a lot of red tape, so maybe that's not a good option. Yeah. Ixnay on the on the Konami.
All right, let's see what the chat says.
But Metal Gear. I do have to say though, because Mr. Joanna Dark actually mentioned it earlier when we were talking about Ginger Prime's response, right, to when Final Fantasy XIV was announced for Xbox. He made the comment. He's like, "What would you do if Metal Gear Solid 4 was announced in the Metal Gear Collection Volume 2? Because we know they named the first one Volume 1, so obviously there's going to be a Volume 2. a lot of signs point to MGS4 actually finally getting out of the PS3 prison that it's been stuck in all this time. I would probably respond the exact same way as Ginger Prime, because realistically, like, that is a game that I want people to get to experience more. And unless you go down the retro rabbit hole right now and either emulate or buy yourself a PS3 somewhere, you can't play that game, and that sucks. Like, I want people to get to experience that game because it was great.
Yeah.
That's my thought. But yeah, let's let that roll for a little bit. Let's see what the chat comes up with.
All right. Well, while that rolled, do you have another topic for us, or do you want to expand on something
It jumps
before?
to you, dude.
Does it?
Effects of consolidation and subscription services.
Oh, I forgot. Oh, wow. Okay, well, jump in. Speaking about hamburgers, the effects of oh my god, you can't have me do this. I can't do it. Oh, the effect on consolidation and subscription services in gaming. So
Much better. Much better.
much better. Oh man, I need Lou. Lou is my inspiration.
I know. He's our power animal. That came out wrong. Continue.
Okay, well, as we've seen on media platform, movies, TV series, etc., we've seen, of course, the Netflix emerge. We see now Disney, we see HBO Max, etc., and we see them consolidating, purchasing, IPs, movie production, I guess studios, in order to have content. And I guess we're starting to see that also with gaming, and we see competitors such as Sony's PlayStation, Xbox, Microsoft with Xbox, and I guess Nintendo you can kind of call it, but they don't really care that much about the whole consolidation part, because they basically own all the IPs they kind of need. But we also had Google with Stadia. We have Amazon Luna, and I'm probably missing some other small ones, but those are probably the main ones. And I guess if gaming keeps picking up, we're going to continue to see this. My first question before I go any further, do you guys think this consolidation is actually good for gaming, or do you think we can run into a situation where, like, it started with Netflix and it was all great when we had Netflix, but now, if you want to see a lot of shows, it can kind of get very, like, expensive. And that was the reason why Netflix was so great at the beginning, because you had this one service that you could watch a lot of movies. But now basically you if you want to watch The Boys, you need Prime. If you want to watch Stranger Things, you need Netflix. You want to watch Game of Thrones, you need HBO Max. If you want to watch The Mandalorian, you need Disney. You want to watch the Halo series, you need Paramount, and etc. So let's start with you, Plum. What do you think about consolidation, comparing it, media versus gaming?
Well, I guess like you said, in terms of TV movies, it's essentially, we started off with Netflix and everyone was like, this is so cool, it's so much better than cable, because you only have to pay this one subscription fee and you get all this content. And now we're essentially paying the same thing as we paid for cable back in the day, just because you pay for all these different subscriptions for all these different shows that you want to watch. So it's kind of gone in almost, it's like better because you're not getting commercials, you're not getting all that type of stuff with these subscription services, but it's almost like regress back to having to pick your cable package of, you want this channel, whatever. When it comes to gaming, yeah, I don't know. Like consolidation in general, I don't think overall ends up being a good thing, because you're going to have one company or a couple of companies controlling everything. They get to control the price. There's not going to be nearly as much creative stuff that comes out of it, because they're always going to end up putting out the safe thing that will make the most amount of money. But right now in gaming, it's like we talk about Activision Blizzard, and people are always thinking like, oh, the industry is consolidating. Why are people cheering this on? When it's like, when you look at if you really sit back and you look at the industry itself, there's so many different parts of it, and we aren't seeing any like big negative effects from these purchases yet. Now, if it continues and it's like literally only Xbox and PlayStation and Nintendo that own everything, then maybe we will. But gaming has such a huge like indie scene right now that it kind of offsets some of the stuff that we see that consolidation could make happen, such as less creative games, um, paying for lower quality, all of that type of stuff. So I don't know. Is consolidation good? No. Is it happening in the gaming industry? In a way, it is somewhat. But do I think like it's Xbox buying all these companies is a bad thing right now? So far, no. So far, they've shown us that right now it's giving us more variety for a cheaper price, and the value literally has never been better in video games. Because if you remember when we were younger, you literally you would go to the rental store, you'd rent one game, and you had to play that forever, and that was it. Right now, Game Pass, things that we never would have thought was possible, and that wouldn't be possible without some sort of consolidation, some sort of purchases of these big publishers, where the content needs to be able to keep coming on the service so that they can continue to get subscribers, continue to make money off of things like Xbox Game Pass. I don't know if I answered your question. I may have just ranted there and said nothing, but those are my thoughts.
No, that's fine. But let me also ask you, like, do you like why do you think or I mean, do you only think that it's good right now with Xbox Game Pass because mainly this is the main one, and then if more people jump, then we can get to this point? Or do you think that there's something that Microsoft Xbox could continue to do, or like could expand, that could continue to make it like a good value? Or do you think that if, let's say, Amazon buys Ubisoft and EA Games, and then Google comes back and buy Take Two and etc., do you think that it could get to a point where, like, this is as general, it's only has damaged gaming? Or do you think it could still be a great option?
I think it could get to that point if it really gets like you have those big companies coming in. I don't think we're anywhere near that. One thing I will say is that maybe I'm biased towards Xbox, but Xbox has been in gaming for a decent amount of time now. That they started off with the OG Xbox. They obviously have an interest, and they obviously have a passion for the gaming industry. But you see a company like Google come in, you see a company like Amazon come in, who really haven't been that into it for very long. I mean, Google already failed with Stadia. You know that they're coming in just because they see it as a strictly profitable venture, and that's what they want to do. And they have the money to be able to go out and buy out all of these smaller companies. And we know that if Amazon and Google buy out all of these smaller companies, well, I guess we don't know, but I'm assuming what they will do is they will make sure that they cut all the fat. There will be nothing creative. They'll just be trying to put out something that will make the most amount of money. With Xbox, on the other hand, sure, they've been buying up. They bought Bethesda. They bought Activision Blizzard. Previous to that, they bought a bunch of smaller studios. But what they have proven to us is that they truly care about the medium, in the sense that they're allowing these studios to go out and make games that they want to make, and they're not forcing them to do stuff just to make money. I mean, we look at like Grounded is easily one of the best examples out there. Sure, it's success now, but like, would an Amazon or would a Google would have allowed Obsidian to make Grounded? I don't know. I have my doubts that they would. So I think like right now everything is good, but if you get those bigger companies coming in because they see the amount of money that can be made, then we could start running into issues in terms of it kind of degrading the medium overall.
Don't mention grounded 3 times because you might summon cowboy with that. Oh man, well, yeah, we definitely could see things go very bad. I guess if depending on how many other big other companies jump into this, like I believe you mentioned Tencent, right? There's Tencent,
That's
there's
another one. Yeah,
Embracer.
they're buying everything.
And there's also there always potential for Amazon, Google, Apple to jump in. They haven't fully committed, but the threat is always there because they're pretty huge. But
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Silent it's
So
platform break,
I think
but
he lost power, but he said he's on its way back.
oh, okay,
So,
okay. So
but
while he comes back, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, we can even kind of see the results of like um just doubling down on the stuff that works in a smaller form, which is what PlayStation does right now, right? We saw them with their virtuous cycle and them cutting older games. So I think that would, for me, would be like the biggest fear going forward if there was major consolidations with companies like Google and Amazon jumping in, trying to just buy up everything. But I mean, I mean, you got Tencent, like you said, Embracer Group, who I feel like they just buy stuff and they just let it sit and then sell it off, right? If it's not
Yeah,
working. I don't know how much investments they put into making those studios successful, but yeah, there's I think at some point if there's only a couple of companies here and there, then it'll be bad. And I think about like an example is in Canada that we have like two, maybe I think maybe three, depending on where you live, telecom companies. It's completely like a consolidated industry, and that is just, it's not good with the prices and the services and all the stuff you get. So you never want an industry to get like that.
yeah, definitely. That definitely not good at all. Um, I also wanted to ask you, well, Silent comes back, because I was thinking also one of the things that I feel that it's good about Game Pass and the whole Xbox ecosystem as of right now is that at least we kind of have the option to still purchase the game, and I like the initiative of Play Anywhere, because one of the things that I was mentioning on another podcast, I think it was Cowboys, that something that kind of scared me about jumping into a subscription system, a subscription service like Stadia, especially when you there was kind of the rumor you had to purchase. I don't remember. He was telling me you didn't have to purchase, but the point is that with Xbox, because I feel it's kind of like a more stable platform, that I don't feel it's going to go out of business, like, at least for a long time. I don't see it
No.
like them closing the division. It kind of gives me a easier, like, um, it gives me less fear to invest in the ecosystem. Like if PlayStation, like if their PlayStation Plus subscription service continue to get better, like it would be easier for me to jump in that subscription service also. As of something like new, like Stadia, etc. Especially if they don't give you the option where like you can purchase the games and your library will like your library will at least migrate like elsewhere, like like
Yeah.
like with Microsoft, something that I like is the Play Anywhere. If they start doing it, I don't know if they do it vice versa. I know if you buy it on Windows, you can get it on also on your Xbox.
Yeah.
If they do it also that if you buy it on Xbox, you also get it on your window, and that's something that they continue. That's something that will remove a lot of the fear from a lot of people that maybe you know are kind of skeptical into jumping into that ecosystem. And I don't know what you think about it. I don't
Yeah. I
even know
mean,
what's my question.
well, I mean, Play Anywhere is one of the best features that they've launched. It's like, they just announced it for Starfield as well. So That was the thing that turned me off. Like whenever I see just like Stadia, right? It was just cloud gaming. I had really no interest in it, and it was even with things like the Logitech G Cloud, where it just is cloud gaming, even though it's for Game Pass, it's just cloud gaming. Kind of turns me off from that type of stuff, and I have no interest in that. And Xbox, yeah, it's a whole ecosystem of like you can download stuff on the console, and that's where I think there's a lot of fear right now, because you look at the sales of Xbox, they're doing good. I know people always like to say like, oh, they're way behind PlayStation, but overall, I mean, they're doing pretty decent, 20 plus million console sales. Like probably could be doing a lot better if they had more supply. I'm sure they would be selling more consoles if they didn't sacrifice so many for like cloud gaming and the server stack and everything. But I guess that would be another thing. If there is so much consolidation where there's just a couple of companies out there, is it only going to be focused on one stream to access content, which would be cloud gaming, because that's really the place that it's the easiest entry into everybody's home, right? Because they can play it on anything. So I hope that's something that doesn't occur, and just the options of being able to download, to buy games and stuff like that. Because I mean, I'm the person here who still sits with a physical collection of games because I like having the actual physical thing. So you'll never see me want to see any of that stuff go away.
Yeah, definitely. Well, speaking about services, we have a special super chat from Toxic Splitter. He says, "I would pay anything for Plume Pass." And then also, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I mean, anything.
You want to say anything to your fan?
I mean, if you're offering anything,
pay anything.
I have a number.
Maybe
I'm
easy, man. Give me a couple boxes of Timos and some good. Give me some good cans of beer, and I think I'm pretty set.
Yeah, that's not bad. I don't know about if you give me a case of beer, and I'll give you a Plume Pass membership, no problem.
All right. Well, speaking about membership, also special shout out to Eternal Shaddai from the Xbox International en Español. He's actually has become a channel member. And speaking about channel members, also, Dark, I believe you're here. I believe you're able to speak. I believe you want to say something. And please, no code Veronica.
Is he? I don't see his name. Is he ghosting you? He's ghosting you.
You guys can't hear him?
No.
Nope. He's on
I can hear you.
Where is he?
Are you playing around, Silent?
No, I'm not. I would love to punk him and give him grief just for nothing, but no, I can't hear him.
Hold on, let me.
Plume, can you?
No, I don't even see him in the.
Yeah, I don't see him in any of the groups.
Oh, I know why. Because he came in like with 30 different names. You came in like I got like 3 Joanna Darks here.
They're multiplying.
I see it.
They're just like rabbits.
Now I gotta replace it on each scene.
Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, my connection just dropped, but I'm back.
Okay. I think you should be on.
Kmart connection.
You can't
Malcolm
hear
says.
You can't hear him, Silent? Can you hear him, Plume?
No.
What?
It's like I said, dude. It's 756K modems duct taped together to prevent any interference in between it.
I was talking shit about Canada's telecom companies. I don't know what you guys have down there.
He's probably got Comcast like the rest of us schmucks, unfortunately.
Well, let's do this. Dark, go out and come back in. And while Dark comes back in, Silent, we were talking about, consolidation, and we were talking about basically some of the good things we like about Game Pass, and some of the some of the bad things that could happen in the industry. So I'm gonna ask you, what would be the bad, the good, and the ugly about consolidation and also subscription services? And what I mean by this would be, what do you think can be better? What works great, and what is terrible?
Well, let's break it down a little bit,
Yeah.
because I'm feeling a little crazy, Lou. You're gonna have to feed me one question at a time.
Okay. What can
But
be better
what
about
can be better?
subscription services in gaming?
Um, I, I think, and this rings true. This goes back to the same conversation we had earlier, right? Is communication. I think is a big key. We just saw Microsoft shift people's gold memberships over to Xbox Game Pass Core, and trying to go through that. Like, yeah, I think you saw the gears turning as I was trying to explain it last week when we were talking.
I can hear you.
We can't hear him though,
What is going on?
dude. I don't know. It's that Kmart internet. But again, like I said, I think it's a communication thing, right? Is like when we looked at that, and like if you have to try and wrap your head around what they're intentionally, or like what they're intending to say with with slides and the details and stuff, that's a problem.
Yeah.
You need to make it as clear and obvious as possible. I maintain we go back to like the old days of like 360, right? You had a white box and you had a green box. You knew the white box had a hard drive, the green box didn't. Easy. It spelled it out right on the front. We look at something now, right? Like you can't mess up getting a Series S and a Series X. Like it's very clear what you're getting. Something like this with these Game Pass tiers, I feel like it's not a good look, and it's confusing for a lot of folks out there. You need to lead people by the hand if you want them to get into these different tiers and not get frustrated because they got the wrong thing. So I think that's something that they could do better for sure.
Now you got.
Okay.
Now, oh wait,
there we go.
I hear something
You
now.
hear him now.
No,
Now
they
I
can
can
hear
hear.
me. I
Yeah.
have Fios. I don't have Kmart internet. No,
I can
but
hear it now. It's
I-
much better.
I
You
guess
show up.
I wanted to chime in. I know you guys moved on to the tiers, but I guess with the consolidation question is, we're seeing subscriptions, right? On the movie side, we've seen subscriptions. We've seen Paramount all of a sudden merge with Showtime to kind of see if they can bolster sales of their membership. Do you think that beyond the consolidation, this is sort of an effect of how purchasing has changed, meaning that we're old, we're graybeards, right? We have a way of wanting to buy all these games and all this stuff, but the new generation is different. So is this more, could we see where, unlike the Paramounts and the Maxes haven't pivoted to a way of meeting customers where they want, that current subscriptions need to make sure that they know how to meet the demands of how, I guess, the purchasing and engagement of gamers, I'm guessing newer generations.
Yeah, absolutely. We, like you said, we are graybeards, and like, well, it's the same. It's the same kind of argument you can make with like console sales, right? People who still tout console sales as like the end all be all are still, they're not looking at the way that purchasing behavior has changed or is going to want to change and into the future where it's going to be subscription, cloud, all that type of stuff. So they're obviously just appealing to the people that don't care at all about the physical games, don't care at all about purchasing games, don't care all about whether it's technically renting or something because you're signed up to a subscription service, right? They just want to have as much content as possible at their fingertips, and they want to be able to access it fast. It's literally all they care about. So yeah, definitely they're adjusting to the purchasing behaviors, I would say.
They just need to get a Switch. That's all you need, really.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
No.
Switch 2, which will be announced soon.
In regards to that consolidation question that you guys were talking about earlier too, yeah, I I mean, because you were asking, like, does it look like it's a bad thing? Does it seem like it's been a bad thing? And I would chime in and just kind of like echo the same thing, right? Is like, but I would bring one thing with it is look at when these people had been consolidated or brought in too, right? Like some of these dev studios, some of these groups were in a bad spot. They were in a struggle. And so when they got brought in, that helped them to have more support to actually do what they wanted to do. Do I think that's a bad thing? No. Like, allow the creatives to be creative and not have to worry about the financial side of it all the time. I think that's where we benefit as gamers, because then we get to see them actually bring their true vision to the game for us to play, right?
Could it also be we're at a point now where it's just cost too much to make some of these games for these smaller companies that their best bet is to hopefully get bought off by like a major company like a Microsoft. Maybe that's it too.
Absolutely. I would say, given unless everyone's blowing a bunch of smoke all the time, I would say it matches up with what we're seeing, right?
You know, this was an interesting question, and this is, to give context to people where we're getting some of these is from Destin Legary, his interview with Colin Moriarty. But my question to that was, do you think that being on a service, or as we move towards a future where we might be similar, right? Subscribe to multiple services to get games. Do you think the quality will suffer? Similar to what we may see sometimes now with Netflix and some other services where we're seeing shows that are not what we are accustomed to when they first started. And it just seems that either there's no creativity, maybe. Do you guys think we'll get to that point, or we can get to a point where we may lose creativity or quality?
No, I think it's a scenario, and sorry if I dive in and I just banter, but I think it's a scenario where consumers have to vote with their wallet and they have to let people know what they want, right? If Netflix is your go-to for streaming and stuff, and they start dropping the ball in regards to what you're interested in, vote with your wallet. Go in, cancel your subscription, show them that what you wanted is not what they're giving you. Same thing with Disney. Like, if you're not using the service or they're dropping a bunch of stuff that are duds, vote with your wallet, stuff like that. Like, I think the competition between them, much like the competition between the consoles, is like, if one's doing better than the other one, then that's going to have to force that competition. That's going to have to force them to rethink or maybe re-strategize their approach, because like you said, like, they want our money. They want to be one of our permanent subscriptions that we're getting every month, right? And so I think, like, maybe the quality will suffer on like a long term, or sorry, on a short term basis, but as far as like the long term, I think we'll see benefit from it, because the competition, and if people vote with their wallets, we'll see more benefit on this type of thing. I don't think just because it's in a service it's going to go bad. That's always been the fit that people have thrown about Xbox Game Pass, right? Is, oh, it's going to go in Game Pass, it's going to be a dud. Well, guess what? Starfield's coming into Game Pass. Doesn't look like a dud to me. There's been plenty of games that came out that weren't duds also. Something that was made on a very small budget, something like Vampire Slayer or Vampire Survivors, that was on Game Pass, and that thing is phenomenal. Now, does it have the amount of polish as a
Sorry, did you
AAA or
just
something? No.
the sequel to Vampire Survivor, Vampire Slayer?
Don't,
Breaking
dude,
premiere.
don't, don't, don't. Now I'm gonna get in trouble, man, dude. Why? But no, I think if that makes any sense with what I'm saying, I think, people will have to vote with their wallet on it. We might see a influx here and there as far as the quality, but I think at the end of the day, like, people are going to have to compete for our money, and so they're going to have to bring their A game. Otherwise, we're going to see some of these different subscription services go, the way of the dodo.
Yeah, I want to add to that. One thing that I hope Microsoft continue to do is allow the studios to have creativity in creating these games, even if there might be a miss here and there. But I think if you have that nice balance of creativity and let the studios make the games they want to make, and not go with the industry, like you have to make this huge open world with RPG element, certain styles of game, because that's the game that makes money, and you allow them to make uh you know uh diversity of different type of games. That's where I think the service could sustain itself, because you're gonna have small games, you're gonna have kind of like you call them double A games, you're gonna have your triple A games, and you can have a mixture of them, and that way you're always gonna be able to sustain it. And I think if you give them the resources, the time, I do think that they're gonna have good quality. So I don't think that that will affect the quality of the game, as long as the studios have the time and resources to make the game they want to make.
Hmm. Yep. Let the creatives do their creative thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think like um it takes a look at something like Netflix, right? There's so much content in there. There's so much different content in there. Sure, not everything is going to be like top tier, but there's always something for somebody. Like if I go in there, I'll scroll through like 80% of the stuff I don't care about, but I will find that section of shows or movies that I will could watch that I think is quality. And I think with like Game Pass is going to be similar. Yeah, there's not everything coming onto Game Pass is going to be the greatest thing in the world, but there's going to be so many different styles of games. And then you're going to have those big first party bangers. You're going to have the high quality stuff in there too. So I feel like overall, it's not going to, the net effect won't be a reduction in the quality of games that we get.
Yeah, I also feel that a lot of people get caught up with, you know, this the cinematic style of game, or the big, open world style of game, and then they forget about all the other type
Yeah.
of games, all the genres. For example, there's fans that are huge onto RTS, and just because RTS is not your style doesn't mean that, for example, Age of Empire is not a good quality game, is not a great game. Is
For
actually one
sure.
of the best in its genre. So, you know, it's
Yeah.
also, we got to see that. Um, but overall, I think that they have kind of show that you can sustain good quality, because if you look since I would say probably 2021, I would say the only hiccup that can remember is probably Redfall, and then before that, of course, Halo Infinite. But then I think the games have been solid.
Yeah. I think two things I kind of want to touch on there. One, Halo Infinite isn't as bad as people make it
Yeah.
out to
Oh
be.
no, no, no.
Thank you, Plume. Thank you for saying that.
Yes,
Halo.
yes.
So here's a
And
conversation we always have. Halo Infinite is an amazing game. When
yes,
when you want to
in a
put it
lot of ways.
from a live service perspective, meaning people that play it daily, that want content, that are used to like Apex Legend, that's where I feel that it had an opportunity. But the game is one of the best in the sense of like the way you play and everything overall. I
Yeah.
know Silence looking at us, but it's true. But
No, no, I
again that
agree. The single player is
Halo
great.
Infinite.
The
Halo Infinite.
multiplayer is garbage. The approach was flawed, and it continues to be flawed, and it's getting better. But they lost the opportunity to make a lot of people care when it mattered.
But
Yeah.
Silent, I would disagree with one thing, because when Halo Infinite released, the first, I would say the first 2 months, everyone was everyone was extremely like satisfied, well, over satisfied with, even with
Mm,
the multiplayer. Like everyone was
It
like
reviewed
everyone
very
was
well
talking,
too.
yeah, it reviewed very well. Everyone was talking great about. What happened was, when that third month came, and then that content got moved to 6 months instead of three, and then it wasn't enough content. Then people started complaining and complaining, and that's
See,
where things got
They needed a
I
foam storm mode. That's what it should have put.
God,
bad.
don't say that too loud either. We'll have Sony guys all up here. No, I know what you're saying, but I think you're forgetting some of what happened when we first started playing that game. And one of the very first complaints right off the bat, which resonated and had continued until they finally fixed it fairly recent. Dude, if I jump into Halo, I should have the ability to jump in and just play Slayer or Team Slayer, forcing me to play capture the flag, forcing me to play all these other game modes I give zero craps about whatsoever when I just want to get into the action and shoot like I play on Call of Duty. It's been there for ages in Halo. And so to not have that day one, people were complaining about that. And I heard it all the time whenever I jumped in, and I experienced it every time I jumped in was, man, I sure wish that I could just choose this because I don't care about capture the flag. I want to play on a team and shoot the bad guys. It was
but
not a difficult thing to add that realistically, but they had
but
so
that
many
that
other
is
things they
something
had to
that
put in.
that is not something that you would say, okay, it's bad because of that. I mean, it's
Yes, I
it,
would. They forced you
that
they
that
forced you
could
into a
so that
specific.
completely made the experience like awful, like bad,
Yes,
like
for the
unplayable.
online multiplayer, it was not great when you were forced into a specific hopper of a bunch of game types when you only got to play the ones you enjoyed once every like 7 or 8 games. That's not a good design. And they had in all the other games. So
Well,
I
I
argue,
guess
yes, it was a design flaw that could have been taken care of earlier.
I think we can agree to disagree, but
Okay, that's fine. I got folks that are agreeing with me in the chat, and it's some people enjoy CTF. I enjoyed CTF when I played Unreal Tournament back in 2000. I want different modes, or I want something where I can just get in and enjoy the action.
okay. Well, anyway, to end on a good note,
Should play some
uh,
Splatoon 3, man. Has a lot of modes.
Oh,
Let you know.
oh,
Well,
to end
hey
on a good note,
guys,
what's
before I
oh
derail the show, I'm gonna get off. But thank you
okay.
as always for
pause.
letting me come in from the backstage and be all spew my nonsense.
Oh no, thank
Plume,
you for the
Cheers, man.
I'll
support.
send you a
Yeah,
Ninja Turtle controller. Can I get a Plume pass if I send you a Ninja Turtle controller?
dude,
Absolutely. You can get two
dude,
plume passes if you do that.
I
Oh,
will give you that. That thing does look really cool. I
Sana, you get
just
nothing. You get a copy of Code Veronica. That's all. That smells like pizza.
I'll use it as a coaster.
Oh man.
All right, fellas.
All right,
See you,
man.
man.
Take care.
Yep.
Okay. Well, to end the
Yes.
show, I
Hold,
wanted to ask.
hold on. Hold on.
Oh,
I just
go
wanted
ahead.
to, so I
You have
wanted to
more to
shout
answer.
out Dion because he just jumped in. Shout out to you, sir. And he did make a comment just like what I'm saying. Options. There is nothing wrong with options.
No, I never said that
And
was bad, but whatever. Anyway, speaking about options and speaking about
I
live
like how I
service.
started the Halo Infinite wasn't that bad, and I just let you guys fight it out.
Yeah, you're like
that's
with the
because you
popcorn.
knew exactly where this was going to go.
we don't want to make this episode long, but I just want one thing from each one of you guys that you would like Xbox to implement in in Game Pass as a whole. One thing that you feel that it's missing, or something that you would like in the future, or even something, a feature that you would like to be implemented in the console itself. Let's start with you, Silent. Let's torture you.
Glad you could throw this to me because I actually was just dealing with this like a day ago. I want better capture functions on my Xbox because damn, it's a pain in the butt, and it's gotten better. It's better than it used to be, but man, I mean, it's no Xbox Design Studios or whatever that one was on the Xbox One, but it's still like a shell of that, right? Um, it's a little rough. It's getting better. I'm happy that you can at least change the lengths of the videos and stuff, but it just feels like it's not very intuitive. yet
Yeah.
at this point in time. And as someone who's trying to make more content to put on like Twitter, TikTok, stuff like that, it's a pain in the butt. But we were talking about this a little bit earlier, right? Because we got the news that things had just popped off, where we'd be able to actually stream to Discord. I want to be able to stream to YouTube also.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh
give
yeah.
me the option. I get that you have problems with Google, but Microsoft, you need to button it up and make it so we can utilize it. Like, give me the options, just like Halo modes. Give me the options to let me decide to do it where I want to do my streaming.
Okay. I will go with you, Plume.
Well,
What
Silent
feature?
just took mine with the YouTube thing, so I gotta think for a second here.
Sorry, Plume.
I think
I'll give you
more.
more time. I'll give you more time because I want you to do a good pick. I don't want you to just say the first thing in your mind. So something that I would like to be implemented, and it's I don't know if it could be added as a feature or it would be like a third party app or something like that. But I would love the option to have like a that you can have a spectator mode in any game. Because I feel like for multiplayer that would be pretty cool because you can make like internal like tournaments and stuff like that, and the one person that's hosting it can actually be the spectator, and then you can
Yes.
have I feel like that would be great.
Thank you for throwing that out there, because that's something we keep running into when we do game nights and different stuff like that with folks in community. Is like it's a real bummer when like you can have a bunch of people in chat but they can't actually watch the game when they're in the chat with you. Like, having that spectator mode would be really cool, and granted you can stream it so they can see it, but why not have a spectator mode? Like, we've had it in games in the past and it was always well received, I thought. That's a very good call.
Can you read that super chat since you're right there?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So shout out to Ray Chi with the Canadian right?
Let's
Read
go,
it,
oh
read
Canada,
it with the
let's
Halo
go.
voice. Read it with the Halo voice.
Hold on. They included the mission feature. Oh God, sorry.
You messed
You
it
hit
up.
me on the spot. They included the missing features on Halo Score. I tried. My voice is a little loud.
See, if you can make a mistake reading, why can't 343 make a small mistake?
Because I'm not getting paid anything to sit here and do this, and they're
But you just
getting
got paid at the
paid.
$2 super chat.
Okay.
I got
$2
$2
Canadian. That's
Okay.
that's like $17 American.
They're getting paid substantially more than me, and you hit me on the spot. It's just like when you were trying to say consolidation. Why can't you get that right, Sour?
Oh man,
Don't
we
throw
still
rocks
we,
in a
we,
glass house. But yeah, no, Rachie, thank you so much for the support, and thank you everyone this evening. It's been a lot of fun so far.
Yeah, thanks for everyone that has been in the chat. Definitely. Plume, I gave you some extra minutes.
Yeah, so I actually thought of
this better
three
be good.
things.
Better be good.
It's not that good. I thought of three things.
Come on.
And one of them may make 0 sense, may make me sound like an idiot, but I'll go to the first two ones that kind of make sense. I just want more options for expandable storage. Like, they gotta start getting more than just a 2 now, because I think there's 2.
Yes.
Bring back Snap, because everyone wants Snap back.
Yep.
I have no idea what's Snap. What's Snap?
I was just about to put that in Snap in regards to G Maybe's post about making spectators available in clubs. Here, explain it to him.
It's just it was an Xbox One feature where you could multitask and you could snap like another app on the screen while you were playing a game and stuff like that.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It was heavily utilized for strategy guides too, because Inside Gaming actually had like a whole thing where you could snap it to the side and you could check out like the strategy guide or watch their tutorials as you were playing. It was a picture-in-picture type thing. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I would stream, I could basically put Plume Network there. So
you could throw it right to the side.
Yeah,
yep.
that will boost my views right there.
There you go.
Yep.
And speaking of the spectator mode in Snap, one thing that PS5 does have is they have that spectator mode, which is pretty cool, which you can like watch your so they should just look at that and essentially just duplicate it, because obviously you can run an Xbox. But the third thing, I don't know if this makes any sense whatsoever, but I would love if, because I think it's software based, and it's just something within the system, if they allowed you to just kind of like turn on and off like FPS boosts and stuff on older games and just see if it works. I don't know if that's something could ever be done at some point. Bring that back, at least to more backwards compatible games. Bring FPS boost back and auto HDR back.
Yep.
Yeah. Honestly, I think the next console they should just make it where like you can basically like toggle with the features and just
Yeah.
make it kind of like a PC. Maybe you have two mode. You have the the regular like out of the box. Maybe you have a mode where like people that do want to tinker a little bit can tinker with it.
Yeah, they have that on. I know it's Linux based, but on Steam Deck, you can kind of. It's essentially a handheld console, but they have like console style features where you can tinker
Yeah,
with like the FPS and lock in and stuff like that. So they should be cool if they add stuff like that to console.
yeah, definitely. But we can't add any more because we gotta land the plane.
Yeah. I think it's time to land this thing. I think we had a pretty good episode. We had a crazy Louis-less episode, and granted, he poked in every now and then when we fudged something up. But no, shout out to you, Louis. I hope you get feeling better soon. Hopefully, we'll see you online soon.
Definitely missed
Hopefully,
them. Yeah.
hopefully we'll
I,
see him streaming some stuff again soon too. But he needs to be on the mend for sure. What's that?
Yeah, I never thought I would say this, but I miss him annoying us in the episode.
Yep. Miss him being like, but Sourblow,
So, bro,
150 beers, Sourblow.
listen, I'm gonna tell you something, and this is the truth. This is the
Listen,
truth.
listen, I'll say it again. I'll say it again.
Oh man.
Shout out to you, Louis. But yeah, so chat, thank you so much. You guys were awesome this evening. Thank you so much again for the continued support. Thanks to those who became members, for super chats. Any way that you guys choose to support the show is greatly appreciated. We look forward to putting that back into the show as we continue to grow. Lots of awesome folks in the chat this evening. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming to hang out with us. And please shill yourselves out real quick. Pimp yourselves out and let the folks know where you're going to see, where they're going to see you this week. So Plume, we'll start with you.
Catch me daily on Plume Network on YouTube for some news, updates, and videos. Everything you need to know about Xbox and about pretty much other big stories that come out. So check me out there. And if you like the content, just consider subscribing.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you again for coming to hang out with us. I appreciate you making a tripod show instead of just two-man, because it was going to be a little rough. It'll be a little rough. Then we might have missed Crazy a little bit more. So thank you for coming to pitch hit instead of training people how to pitch hit. Pinch hit. And then Sour, tell everyone where they can find you.
Oh, where? You can find me Sourblow18, Twitter, Xbox, YouTube, and of course, you can find me here every Wednesday and Friday. Sometimes you can find me in Xbox International en español. So if you speak Spanish, si habla español, follow us there on for Friday's show. So it's with Eternal Shaddai and Ask Up Gaming. And for the new members, real quick, I do have to send you something, so I would try to get a hold of you guys, or you can get a hold of me. Send me your email, so you can get your flight tickets. How about you, Silent? Where can we find that awesome Agent 47?
So sorry, I had myself on mute and I was posting in the chat. I can't multitask very well. Dang it. So yeah, as far as where you can find me, you can find me on TikTok, Twitter. You can find me on Xbox playing a bunch of Fortnite and playing some more playing some more Dead Island 2, hopefully going back to some more Far Cry 3. I may be on a show Friday morning. If I'm going to be on a show on Friday, I will update my Twitter and let you guys know where to find me, let you guys know where to come hang out. But yeah, I think that's about it for me this weekend. It's going to hopefully be pretty low key. Hopefully I can catch up on some stuff while my wife and kids are out of town for a day or two. But yeah, yeah. Thank you again, guys. Also, G, maybe let's see. Is there any reference to the poll that was posted? Oh, I don't think we actually ever touched base on the poll, did we?
No, we didn't.
we threw that in there and they're like, okay, we're done. So yeah, in regards to the actual results to that, we'll mention that real quick. So what should be the next acquisition was the question, right? And it just disappeared on me. Do you do you have
Sega won at 52%.
50?
Oh,
Okay.
52? Wait.
Yeah, it just dropped off my screen.
We got the same results. I got 51%.
There it is.
Well.
Okay.
Canadian percent versus American percent.
I see that.
Dang international inflation.
Okay. Well.
So Sega took it with 51%, according to the poll, and then Square Enix is 22%, which surprises me. Surprised that that's the next one that they thought. Capcom 19%, and then Bandai Namco with a little 6%. So folks not super excited about the Bandai Namco apparently, but the big ones being Capcom, Squeenix, and Sega, right? But yeah, and so that's about all. That's about all for me. While you guys are in here, real quick, also just to mention, so our buddy Dusty actually has a show that's on Wednesday evenings as well. Poke by there. I think his show starts here in about 2 hours. So poke by his channel if you can also, and show him a little bit of love too. He's just starting his channel. So, good to get any support where we can get it, and love to see someone else getting into the podcasting side of things as well. But thank you, gentlemen, and we'll see everyone here this next Wednesday, hopefully with a crazy Louie back in tow.
So, correction, 1 hour. In 1 hour.
In 1 hour. Okay, my bad. Okay. All right. So in 1 hour, go check out Dusty's stuff. I'll post the link here on Twitter as well here soon. So thank you, everyone. Have a great week. We'll see you next Wednesday.
See ya.
Bye. Oh, come on, outro. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've arrived at our destination. For your safety and comfort, please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the captain turns off this live stream. On behalf of Xbox International, I'd like to thank you for joining us on this trip, and we're looking forward to seeing you aboard next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't you want another? I'm like, no, I can't.